So why do men change after marriage? So many women are asking this question on why men change after marriage. And that is because the women don't want to lose themselves after being married to a man. And I understand because I'm a woman, I'm also married. Okay? Yeah. It's important to know why men change after marriage. Because when a man changes in marriage, the next thing is that he begins to change you. So a lot of women want to know what they are becoming. And it's very important that I answer this question in this video. He became less romantic after marriage. He stopped trying to get to you. Yes, marriage makes men boring. He's no longer attentive. And of course, men relax when they secure the woman. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you why men change after marriage and what to do when you find out or discover that he has changed. So subscribe if you have not. My name is Esther Christian, and please don't forget to drop a comment after seeing this video. Marriage is one of the biggest shifts in a man's life, beginning from emotional shifts to psychological shifts, financial, and every other area of his life that he's beginning to adapt to a new system and a new thing that he has never experienced before. Now, love is very sweet, but of course, marriage is a game changer. Marriage is equally a place where true love is practiced. So when he's single, he was answering only to himself. But the time he got married to you, he wasn't answering only to himself. He begins to answer to you, the wife or the spouse, and to the children. And that is a whole lot to deal with. Okay. So that alone can reshape his identity. To some men, it puts a lot of pressure on them. And of course, some men, especially when they do not have capacity, do not know exactly what they are turning into. They don't know what they are becoming. Just like metamorphosis. When you see metamorphosis going on in an ant, or it changes. Like, you may not be able to define what they truly are until they become their true form. So this is what happens to a man when he walks into a marriage. It's like a different environment, a different lifestyle. Everything is just so new and so different. And feeling excited about you is not enough to be able to hold the marriage together or to be able to satisfy you. Trust me, a lot of men want to satisfy their woman, wants to become the best that their woman can ever have. But of course, the circumstances that is surrounding them may not permit them to do that or allow them to do that, especially when they have not built capacity. And trust me, capacity is built in the marriage. Yeah, you can never know how to be married until you become married. Marriage is like on the job training. So if you're wondering why he has changed or he's becoming a different person in the marriage, you've got to understand that this man is transitioning into a new person, and he needs to, of course, fight through himself, fight through what he used to know before, fight through his temperament, fight through dealing with a whole lot of stuff that are just crowding him to become a new version of himself. And trust me, that alone can change his identity. That can influence him and even get him to behave the way you don't understand, because you met him while he was single, but now he's married. So that's a different responsibility. It requires a different approach. It requires a different kind of person. So the person he is when you are single and he's single is now different, because he is facing a total new responsibility. So instead of asking, why did he change? The right question is, what changed in his life that required him to adapt? You've got to understand that marriage changes a man's position from being a pursuer to a provider, from excitement to responsibility. And of course, the society expects him to, be man enough, provide, protect, and guide. And that is a whole lot, because he is assumed to be the head of the home. So when he is the head of the home, he is in charge. He should get everything together. He should make sure that everything works perfectly well. And that is enough to put or give a man pressure in the relationship. And when you wonder why he has changed, sometimes he's lost in the thought of becoming all these things that is expected of him as the man, especially when he didn't prepare for the marriage or when he has not built the capacity. But even when he has built the capacity, maybe by knowledge, because there is no better way to build capacity before marriage. You only build capacity more in the marriage, because knowledge is wisdom, and knowledge, you can call knowledge capacity. What happens when a man builds capacity by knowledge is that when he walks into the marriage and he's facing some situations, he will not be confused, because he has already read in the Bible or read some books or listened to some, messages, or had had some counselings that will guide him. And that, of course, is going to help him to adjust quickly, make less mistakes and be able to fall in line in the right places. But when he has not built any form of capacity, maybe capacity by knowledge, character, or any form of it, he's going to struggle even more. But the total capacity that a man builds for marriage is built right in the relationship, because marriage is a place where you are going to form a new personality, a new person. You become a new you, because you're going to be facing a different kind of life, different kind of experiences that is all over you. So that is exactly what happens to a man. So when a society expects all these things from him, it is enough to put pressure on the man. And of course, he can be lost in the world of identity, trying to figure out who he is, figure out how he's going to manage all these things. And again, you as a woman would also be requesting for his attention. You want his attention. You want him to be nice to you as he used to be before, and you want him to be everything to you. But the fact is that you are no longer the only project right now. There's a whole lot of things that he needs to deal with. He needs to figure out where the next rent is going to come from. He needs to figure out, a lot of things. And fine, he has gotten you, you are the target. A woman is always a project for the man. And when a man gets you as a project, the next thing is to shift focus to the next project around, to the next responsibility around. So a man with that capacity is going to struggle with all these things. He's going to be lost in the world of identity. And sometimes he could be scared and begin to act weird. And that gets you confused as the woman. Now, I'm going to tell you what to do when you notice that he has changed. Okay? But before then, let's look at this. Was he prepared before he married? Was he emotionally grounded? Was he spiritually grounded? Was he financially under pressure before he got married to you? These are important questions, because you need to get the root of his problem, because everyone's challenge is not the same. We have different kinds of men that came from different kind of environment. So the first question you should ask is, was he prepared for marriage? When the whole emotions are up, the chemistry of love is up, nobody talks about preparation. And the few people who wants to do preparation, sometimes you may not have all the time to look into all the requirements and the things that you need to prepare for marriage. So was he prepared for marriage? Was he emotionally equipped? Okay. Was he spiritually grounded? And was he, under financial pressure, or did he have enough money to carry you through the marriage once you get married? I made a video on how to be financially prepared for marriage, and you need to see that video on my channel. It's going to help you a lot to know when you are ready financially to be married. Okay, because a lot of couples, they go through a lot of stress and a lot of troubles in the first few years of their marriage, just because they were not financially prepared. And not being financially prepared could lead to a lot of other things that you may be thinking is wrong with you or your spouse. But of course, the problem becomes lack of financial preparation. So I will encourage you to see that video on my channel. So after asking these questions and you begin to figure out exactly what his problems are, it is not time to cry. It is not time to feel emotional or feel like, your whole world is gone. Like, a lot of women make the mistake of crying because their man has changed. They cry a lot, they go emotional, they do stupid things, crazy things. And of course, you are simply not adding to the solution of the problems, because you are complicating your emotions, and you could actually break down trying to cry and trying to go emotional and figure all things out by yourself. So instead of crying or going emotional, I'm going to tell you the things you need to do when you find out that your man has changed. Now you found what the problem is. He has changed. And now I believe that you understand why the change has happened. But of course, you're going to do something about the change, because if you don't do something about it, it's going to remain that way. So the first thing you're going to do is to not cry about it, not feel broken, not feel like your whole world is gone, not feel like you married the wrong person, because that is the first thing that comes to your mind. Maybe you're married to the wrong person, but that's not true. If you have figured this person out as the first person and the right person for you, then he is the right person. So the first thing to do is to pray, not for him now, but for yourself. You're going to pray because God is going to use you to change this person's life, to transform this person's life. Now, I'm not talking about a situation where you are facing, or you are in an abusive relationship, or you are facing domestic violence in your marriage. No, I'm talking about the fact that your husband has changed in those few things I mentioned earlier in this video. So if that is your case, you're going to begin by praying for yourself. And in your prayer, you're going to be asking God for two things. Number one is for strength and the wisdom to be able to transform your husband's life. Now, you're not going to be the person to transform your husband's life, but God will use you to do that. All right. So now it's very easy, and it's not difficult. So the strength and the wisdom that God is going to give you is your ability to be patient enough for Him to get things right in the season when the transition of his life begins. So you've got to understand that all these things are going to require time and patience. And that's why I talk about the fruit of the spirit that is required for a successful marriage. I have a video also on that. You better go see it. So in marriage, you are going to be making use of the fruit of the spirit called patience. So the moment you're going to be working on your husband or giving time for his transformation, the fruit of patience is required for you to be patient enough for him to become better, because he's definitely going to become better. So the second thing to do is to pray for him. Now you've prayed for yourself, but it's time to pray for him. What kind of a prayer are you going to be praying for your husband? You are not just going to be crying to God. That's not it. But if you want to cry to God, it's okay. He's our Father, but make sure you are praying the right kind of prayer. And that prayer is that you're going to be asking God to, change your husband and make him become the kind of man you want him to be. Know exactly what the kind of man you want to have, okay? And be sure that you are qualified to have that kind of man. Because some women, you have a lot of problems, you have a lot of issues, but you want your man to be perfect, okay? Transformation and change begins from you. So God may be requiring you or ask you to change in some certain areas. And that, of course, is going to open up your husband to give you what you are looking for. So sometimes the problem can be you, okay? But that's not what I'm going into in this video. But of course, when you begin with God and begin to talk to God about it, simply ask the Lord to touch your husband, to transform your husband and make him the man you want him to be. And that is why I said you are not the one that is going to do the job, because you don't have what it takes. So God is the one who is the head of the man, according to the book of Corinthians. God is the one who the man submits to. That's why the moment you try to change your husband, you try to transform him, it becomes very difficult because you don't have what it takes to do that. You're going to do that by the help of the Holy Spirit, by the help of the Lord, by you praying to God exactly what you want to see in your husband's life. So the head of the man is God. Okay, God is the head of the man, and the man is the head of the woman. And that is how the chain of authority works. But all of us, we are under the Lord. God is our head, He's our Father. So when you pray to God, the Bible says that the heart of a king is like a running water in the Lord's hand. So God has His heart, He has what it takes to begin to work on Him. But remember, you don't rush God. You don't try to put pressure on God. You don't say, Lord, I've prayed, you don't want to answer me. No, you have to be patient. You have to trust God that He's going to do His work in this person's life. And what happens when you pray? God gives you the power and the strength, the ability to do what you cannot do. That is what we call grace. Grace is the enablement that you never had before. Maybe you've been praying and it never worked before. You need to try prayer this time with this video and the knowledge I'm communicating to you. Okay, so you pray and trust God for the power, the supernatural, the ability to do what you can't do before. Your husband can come back and you begin to see, God at work in his life. Okay, that is how it works. You have to trust God. There is nobody that can please God without faith. Faith is that you prayed, but you also trust God. You don't just pray and rush God. You trust God with time. You trust God with season. You believe that even if it's going to take God 5 months, 6 months, 2 years to work things out in the life of a husband, that he's going to do that. And that was why I mentioned earlier that I'm not talking about abusive relationship or domestic violence. In that situation, you need external help and you have to begin to reach out immediately to people who are going to help you. And even in a situation like this, it's good to talk to people, but of course, you need to talk to the right person, okay? But I don't think it's a situation you cannot handle. There's a grace to be married. So once you marry, God gives you the grace to be a wife. And God gives your husband the grace to be a husband. And sometimes a lot of women, they don't use their grace. And some men do not also use their grace. It is not every situation that you run out to go and meet somebody to, discuss what is going on or bring somebody to come and solve the problem. Except if you have tried solving the problem and it didn't work. That is when you can reach out to somebody to, help you, solve the problem in your marriage. The grace is that God gives you the wisdom to run a successful home. God gives you, that is what you do at the altar. You don't just go to the altar to take vows. When you are prayed for at the altar by a man of God or, a priest, that is a commissioning. That is the grace of God resting on you to run the home as a father, to run the home as a mother, to be married to your spouse as a wife or as a husband. The grace is sufficient. So it is not every problem that you go out to seek solution for. Maximize the grace of God. Sometimes you just have to ask the Holy Spirit to help you with an idea, or sit down and think about it, and you will get the solution. The grace is available. I'm saying this because a lot of people are out there. Every little thing you want to seek somebody's opinion, every little problem in your marriage, you want to talk about it with people, and sometimes you are talking to the wrong people, and that is when you begin to open the doors for the enemy to come and destroy what you are building. Marriage is a place where you are building, so be careful who you are bringing in to advise you, because that person could tear the house down simply by giving you the wrong information. It could be anybody, no matter who the person is. So make sure that the grace of God in your life to be married, the grace that God bestows on you on that day where you waited on the altar, the priest, the men of God, they prayed for you, they spoke over your life, even the blessings that came from your fathers. And these are graces that are transferred over to you to be able to run a successful home. So you have to believe that you have what it takes to run, to run with wisdom, to run with precision, and to make sure that your home is in order. Make use of that grace, and don't always depend on counselors, external people, external individuals to come in. This does not mean you are not to seek counsel when you need one. But of course, it should be that you have done what you should do and it didn't work. And of course, you've done your best and it didn't work. That is when to seek for counsel. Okay? So the third thing to do is never cry about him. Never confront him with his mistakes, like you're confronting him in a wrong way. If you know how to talk about it softly and he's accepting the fact that, because it's not every man that accepts their mistake. If he's the kind of man that, okay, fine, he can accept the fact that he's making a mistake or he made a mistake and he's ready to adjust, that's beautiful. That's a man with capacity. But to some women who married men that don't want to hear their errors, they don't want to hear where they got it wrong, you don't have to confront him with his mistakes. You don't want to throw it at his face. You don't go crying before him, trying to point out all his errors. To some men, it doesn't work for them, okay? It is not every man that is moved by their wife's tears. And of course, I wonder why it is so, because your wife's tears is supposed to move you, okay? But some men are not like that. So instead of you killing yourself or, getting complicated, feeling so bad about the whole thing, or complicating your emotions, or feeling hot, it's better not to even think about being broken. So understand that you need to get the job done. And what is the job? Is to find the solution. So instead of crying and feeling bad or confronting him with his mistakes, the first thing you should do is to be calm and meet with your husband. Begin to remind him the good things that he has done since you got married. Now, I know your husband is not all that bad, okay? He's not all that weak. He's not all that evil, okay? There are good things he has done as well as bad things he has done. So, for you to find a solution to the problem you are facing, being that he has changed, you have to begin with reminding him the good things he has done so far in your marriage since he got married to you. Remind him every good thing and how much you are trusting God to make him the man of your dreams. The moment you begin to point out the good things that he has done for you and for the house, and since you got married to him, trust me, things are going to be better. That is the first step. So the next thing you do is to find books that addresses those areas you are pointing out to, or you are seeing that he's not seeing. Because one thing about change is that when people are changing, sometimes they don't even know that they are changing. So you may be thinking that your husband knows what he's doing, but he doesn't. He doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, he may not have come to realize that he's getting it wrong in one way or the other. So find books that addresses those areas that you want him to get right. Go get the book. Spend your money to have a successful marriage. Some of you are not reading. You don't want to read. You don't want your husband to read. You don't want if you're a man watching this video, you don't want your wife to read. So your money is not working for your marriage. Your money shouldn't just go for, buying cars, painting the house, keeping the house in order, buying food, paying for children's school fees. You have to invest in knowledge, because marriage is a continuous institution that you never graduate from. Now, some people are like, my husband doesn't like reading books. What am I going to do? He likes seeing movies. There are so many movies that transforms marriages. Some of them are Christian movies. Some of them are, random movies or secular movies that, passes the right information and the right marriage. So it is left for you to make some research. Go online and find, you can use your AI, ChatGPT, ask questions on movies that talks about this, that can help someone to learn this, help someone to learn that. And that is good. You can just bring it to him. But of course, you must have done the first thing. Because when your husband begins to know that you are bringing movies to him so that you will correct him and put him right, he may not watch the movie. Okay, men are egocentric, so they have natural ego, so they don't want to feel like you want to control them. Okay, not every man is like that. So you just have to begin by appreciating the good he has done and telling him that you trust God to make him the kind of man you dream for and admire. And some of them would ask you, what kind of man do you even dream for and admire? And that is a gate for you. That is a window for you to talk about the things you want to see him get better in. But if he didn't even ask about that, it's fine. Get the books or get movies. Okay, make him see those movies. Find a way to comfortable. Remember, your man is your man. He's your own. You are not to walk like you are, you want him out, whereas you want him in. Okay, provided you want him to be in, you have to take it easy. You are trying to mold this person, work on this person to work for you. Okay, if you want someone to, just like winning soul, winning somebody, you have to work like someone who wants to get his man to, partner with her, not someone who wants to kick him out. Because sometimes you have issues with your man, but all you are doing is kicking him out instead of bringing him in. The first question you should ask yourself is, am I getting this man to work with me or to work against me? Am I to, bring him to, so you should find strategies that makes you win this man to yourself. Okay, that is one thing that is very important. And that's why some women, they miss it even in their sex life, in their approach, in their relationship. They don't know how to win their man's heart. I also have a video on how to win a man's heart in my channel. So you should fully see that video. It's important to win your man's heart. Some women are living with men that his heart is not with them. Now, don't tell me he's going after other women out there. Don't tell me he's busy with his business. Now, women are they have this nature of seduction in them. Now, I'm not trying to say that you should go seducing other men. Okay, other men, of course. Okay, what I mean here is that you have that nature, the ability to bring your man's heart home. You have it in your body, you have it in your voice, you have it as a woman of the spirit, you have it as a woman that is full of knowledge. You don't just sit around and feel that if he wants you, he should come and be with you or catch you. See, a man stops running after you or pursuing you or chasing you once he's married to you. Once he's married to you, his focus shifts from being a pursuer to a provider, from excitement to responsibility. You must understand this so that you know your place. It is your job to keep bringing his mind home by the kind of food you cook, the kind of things that he likes, the kind of atmosphere that he loves, the kind of looks he wants to see you on. Okay, the kind of, you just have to keep getting his mind home. Do things that interest him. Keep bringing his mind home. You don't leave it for, you don't just. Some men may not go after other women or start womanizing, but of course, they make their business their hobby. Why would their business be their hobby? Like, you should be the first person on the list. They can't write you off because you have what it takes. So finally, on what to do when he changes is to speak with a mentor or speak with a leader. Okay, it's important to speak with a mentor, speak with a leader that your husband listens to, not the one that you listen to and you want your husband to come and listen to him. Sometimes men don't like going to a counselor because they feel he is going to tell them how to run their home, and that is exactly what they don't want to experience. Okay, so speak to somebody that you know he listens to, and that's why we advise women to marry a man that is submitted to an authority, because when the going gets tough, you may need to get to that person so that everything will be under control. So as you're working on him in the house, you have to speak to a mentor, a leader, in a very good way, what your experience are, what you are experiencing, okay? And your mentor and your leader should be wise enough to know the right way to communicate to them and not coming to, act like they are coming to rule in your house. And that is the mistake that a lot of mentors or maybe pastors or leaders are making. Okay, they talk to the man as if they want to run his home. Okay, a mentor, a counselor, a leader should be able to know how to speak to a man who is a husband of a home. Okay, that doesn't mean you are never to tell him the whole truth, but you should be able to tell him the truth in a way that he will understand it and still make him understand that he is the man of the house and has the responsibility of putting things in order. Okay, once a man begins to feel that you want to run his home, whether you're a pastor, a mentor, a leader, a counselor, he's going to withdraw from that counseling. He's going to withdraw from you. He may be listening to you, but he's not ready to listen to you. And that is why, in some cases, the man may decide to change the church that he's attending because it looks like the pastor is now the one running his home, stuff like that. That is for the ones who are not yet that matured in the relationship they have with their leader or counselor or their mentor. But some men have actually built capacity and know that whatever my pastor or leader or someone is telling me to do, especially the right person is telling me to do for my marriage, the person is trying to help me to get things right. But not everybody is like that. So when you speak to a counselor, a mentor, or a leader, make sure that you get them to understand that you want them to communicate the right way so that he wouldn't feel that you are trying to influence them or control them through them. All right. So, in conclusion, when your man changes in marriage, give it time as you work on him. All right. Like I mentioned, the fruit of patience is very necessary. How long is it going to take for him to get better? Give him like 1 year, 2 years of a consistent, approach on what I mentioned. Ask God for the grace. That is what you do when you pray. The grace and the strength to wait on him. The grace and the strength to see him from a different light than what you used to see before. Because faith is a substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Never go about gossiping your husband. Never go about talking to people that will turn your heart against your husband. You are vulnerable when you are broken, when you are hurt, when your husband does something that is wrong towards you. So it's very important that you protect your house, protect your family. Trust professionals who are counselors, marriage counselors, especially Christian marriage counselors. It's not every kind of counselor, okay? And trust the people who are leading you, people who are tested and trusted, people who have been in your life that has acted as life coach that loved you sincerely. Sometimes you may not have to talk to family members because family members, they can let their emotions to override their judgment, and of course that can be a problem in your marriage. Have your dream, have your passion, work on yourself, get busy working on yourself to become interesting. Okay, every woman is beautiful and can become very interesting, whether they are pregnant, married, or you just have to get busy with yourself. Okay, let this man begin to see that you have a vision, you have a dream, and you are becoming better in your looks, you are becoming better in your career, you are becoming better on every aspect of your life. And let God help you. Let the Holy Spirit help you, because sometimes if you are dealing with a spiritual problem, you can't just manage it physically. Okay, that is why working with God is very important. So as you're working physically, the Lord is helping you to deal with the issues spiritually. Okay, there is nothing to be afraid of when your man changes in marriage. The most important thing is, do you know what to do and do you know how to go about it? And that is why I made this video. I hope you love this video. And if you love this video truly and you have questions or comments, please drop it in the comment section. I'd like to know what you think about this video. And don't forget to subscribe if you have not. My name is Esther Christian Obono, and I love to always come here to speak to you on matters of faith, relationship, and every aspect of your life that you feel challenges in. Thank you for watching, and God bless.